Emily Goodwin here with Writers of the Future, and today we are talking to Nicole Reavis. And Nicole, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Where to start? I live in North Carolina. I live on the East Coast. I was born in the Midwest, moved down here in the 90s. I've traveled all over the country, and I'm an avid board game aficionado, and I love to read and write, and that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Nerds unite. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So recently you read the L100 Presents Writers of the Future, Volume 36,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes, ma'am. That is correct.
And tell me a bit about what you thought of the book.
What I liked about it is because there were, of course, like each quarter contest winners in there. And, there were some more well-known authors in there as well. But as I was reading through it, it was the way that it was composed. It was seamless. I couldn't tell who was the amateurs and who were the pros that were in there. Wow. It was really nice. So I really, really enjoyed it. I think the quality of the work, the storytelling of it was phenomenal.
Oh, nice. Well, that says something. Did you have a favorite story?
My favorite story in that one, I was actually looking at it the other day, because I was actually telling about it to a friend of my writers group, it was Educational Tapes.
Oh, yeah.
I really, really like that one. I was listening to a podcast. I don't remember who was saying it, but I've heard it mentioned before, where it's really hard to tell a story in second person or even close to that and then tell it well. And when I read that, I was like, first of all, this is being told almost in second person. And second, the entire story was like a what if trolley problem. And it's really hard to present material of that length and that well. So I really, really liked it.
Fantastic. Well, I'm sure that she'll like hearing that you enjoyed her story.
Thank you so much.
All right. And how about the artwork? So you noticed how there was art to go with each of the stories. What'd you think of that?
I like the cover art. The cover art is probably one of my favorites, but I also like the one they did. It was I'm going to probably mispronounce the name of this horribly, but it was the ones for as like the Winds of Hadamon or something like that, where it's got like, it's got the African-American chick and she's holding like a basket on her head. And I like really simplistic stuff because that one actually fit the story the most out of all the ones that I saw.
Nice. Yes, that was Brittany Jackson. It was a great piece.
It was a very wonderful story. I loved it.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. And as you mentioned to me earlier that you yourself are a writer. So
yes.
What do you have up your sleeve in the writing world?
I have a bunch of things. Of course, I'm actively still trying to get my Q3 submission for Writers of the Future reviewed so I can submit it. But when I'm not working on that, I've got a novella in the bank that's like a sci-fi detective noir, which is probably one of the weirdest things I've ever had to write because it was completely off genre, but people loved it, and it's currently under review with a small press. So I'm hoping to hear back that it gets accepted. And I've also do a lot of urban fantasy. I'm working right now on another novella. It's about a vampire hunter in Vegas.
Wow.
And I've got an epic fantasy in the tank that I'm letting sit off to the side before I work on final revisions and try to market that. So
super exciting.
Oh yeah, lots of stuff going on. I'm always writing stuff.
Awesome. And did you take the L. Ron Hubbard Writers of the Future online workshop?
I did. I enjoyed it a lot. I took it about, I want to say at the end of March, early April, something like that. I don't remember when I took it, but I took it right after I went to a writers conference. So it was really nice to hear even more established pros, people to hear David Farland, to hear Orson Scott Card, to hear whose work I've read, break things down to their simplest form. And I really was able to listen to what they had to say I wrote a little short story as long as I went with it. I put faith in the process because they've run the gauntlet. I'm and past it. I'm still running it. So I'm like, let let me write a story following what they said. And I actually came up with a decent piece of work that was much better than the original story I was going to submit for Q3. And so I scrapped that. And I was like, let me just work on this. And I'm really glad. I had a lot of fun. It was a blast. And a lot of the things that I learned reinforced learned when I went to a writers conference in March. And I'm just taking all that to heart and using that to solidify a lot of the things I'm writing now.
Well, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. And so obviously you did the practicals of it, because you mentioned earlier that by the end you had a short story. So were those easy to do and keep track of?
Yeah, they were easy to do. I mean, it was literally, it's like, here, write dialogue. Okay. Or here, write the opening, or here, write the ending, or create suspense. And the practicals, they were easy to follow. I liked they were simplistic. But I would recommend, if anybody's taken this course, actually watch the videos before doing the practicals, or if you're a new writer, you're not going to have any idea of what do you mean. I've got, even though I'm not published, I do have a bunch of completed things under my belt. So I was like, okay, this makes sense. But for somebody who's just starting out or is nervous about writing, you're going to want to do things step by step. And I like the fact that the order of that workshop was step by step, and it made it really easy to follow.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. And I definitely wish you the best of luck with your writing and success.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And so now, we met you originally at DragonCon, right?
That is correct.
Last year?
That's correct. We had talked a little bit earlier about this before. But yeah, I had gone to DragonCon last year on a whim because I saw that Brandon Sanderson was a literary guest of honor. So I was like, sure, I haven't been to this convention in 6 years. I'm going to go. And this is right about this time last year, actually, I had made that decision. And I had just started, actually, about this time last year, considering writing as a profession versus a hobby. And so I decided to go. I wanted to get some stuff signed, of course, and I wanted to actually sit on the writing panel tracks and listen to all that stuff. And they were fantastic, by the way. But yeah, I'd gone to go get some stuff signed, and I had walked by the Galaxy Press booth, and I ran into this little man. I ran into Marcus, and he's wearing this little fedora. He sold me on the contest versus the book. And that was that. I never heard of Writers of the Future before until I went to DragonCon. And honestly, after I submitted the first time to Writers of the Future, and talking about it with people, there were so many doors that were open for me in networking just by talking about it. I don't think I would have been provided those opportunities had I not gone to DragonCon and had I not actually taken 5 minutes to stop at the booth and talk to Marcus about it. So it was really nice.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, excellent. I'm glad that could help you.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today.
Thank you.
Yeah. And hopefully, in a future DragonCon, we get to meet up again.
Hopefully. Probably not this year. I think I'm going to stay at home for the rest of this year, but maybe next year I'm looking into some things. So
yeah. Okay, super. All right. Well, again, it's been great speaking to you. And
thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.